Lige nu befinder jeg mig i en fantastisk bygning. Det er den store terminal på Grand Central Station. Der er måske 40 meter til loftet. Vælvet loft med maleri, og det vrimler med mennesker, der er på vej til og fra deres tog. Og også en del turister, der bare er inde for at se, hvordan den her fantastiske bygning ser ud. Jeg har den sidste aftale på min New York-tur rundt og snakke med radiofolk. Den her gang er det Joe Barone fra BAR1 Productions, som har til huse på Lexington Avenue lige rundt om hjørnet. Han er en virkelig garvet rotte, har været i radio i en menneskealder, og han producerer nogle af de aller bedste radioreklamer i verden. Han har vundet et hav af priser, heriblandt ikke færre end 14 Mercury Awards, og 2 af dem var ovenikøbet Grand Prize winners. Så han har prøvet at lave radio nogle gange, og han ved, hvordan man gør. Jeg mødte ham den anden dag, og der delte han nogle meget interessante synspunkter på, hvad det er, der gør radio specielt. Så derfor lavede jeg en aftale med ham, og vi skal nu møde ham om et øjeblik herinde på Lexington Avenue 420.
How are you, man? Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
This is my mixer, engineer, and longtime friend, Tim Leitner.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine. Hi, Tim.
Nice to meet you.
And that's Drew.
Hi, Drew.
Another mixer here.
Yeah.
I started as an on-air engineer in WABC, New York.
You were an engineer,
Yeah,
not on air,
engineer.
not working with the broadcasting.
Well, I was on the board, so like I would engineer for the talent in the booth,
Yeah.
and I do production for them.
Okay.
But that was my first gig into I did some small stations, some production, and some voice stuff for like small stations on Long Island. But I guess the first real gig I had, like serious gig, was just a kid at WABC. So, and I used to I used to do stuff like tell jokes to the the host who's ever on the air, and he used to say them like I used to give him one-liners, and he used to say them. So I was never on myself, but I was kind of on.
Working sort of as a ghostwriter?
I was a ghostwriter. Yeah. And then I knew someone who ran the facility, the technical facility at DDB Needham, which was Doyle, Dane, Bernbach, and Needham, Harper, Steers, or something else, and they merged, and they needed an in-house production guy. So I was working in an agency as just, a mixer and a production person, and I kind of got bored with that, so I created a job for myself. I started writing, I started doing voices, I started doing demos for them, and I was doing the mixing and the engineering, and then I wound up basically with the business I have now only in an agency. I was writing, I was doing the voice work, I was producing and directing and casting and everything inside the agency. I had like my own separate company inside the agency, and then I just decided to take the show on the road and try my luck by myself. And I went out with a partner who I since left. I had a whole 1993 I started a company that I thought I could do a little better by myself, so I left, and I took the core of the company, which is Tim, who you met, and my executive producer, my casting director, and here I am, years later, too many years later, I'm afraid to say, with a company called BAR1.
Research has proven the 12-ounce Heineken keg can is more convenient than a full-sized keg. This included the dropping it on your foot test. First the keg can.
Excuse me, you dropped this on my foot. Oops, my bad.
Now the full-sized keg.
Oh, my foot! My faux pas. Get it off! Get it off!
Suck it up, Ted.
Next, the tossing it to a buddy test. The 12-ounce Heineken keg can.
Hey, Bob, catch!
Thanks, Ted.
Now the full-sized keg.
Hey, Bob, catch!
Thanks.
Ted.
Get it off! Come on, Ted, get up, man. Cheryl's looking. Shake it off.
Crushed.
Ted.
Trachea.
Ted, you woman. Get up. Teddy.
And finally, the crushing it against your forehead test. The keg can.
1, 2, 3. Yeah!
And the full-sized keg.
1, 2, 3.
Ted. Teddy. Okay, this is boring.
The 12-ounce Heineken keg can. Scientifically proven to be more convenient than a keg. Available for a limited time. Imported by Heineken USA, White Plains, New York.
And you took home a lot of awards?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. I think we won about 14 Mercury Awards, 2 Grand Prize Awards. We won, there's a bunch of Lions and a bunch of Clios. I mean, I actually, when I left my old company, it wasn't a very friendly breakup, and I had to leave half my awards behind, unfortunately. And really, literally, we were very successful, or at least I was, and Tim, and we won so many awards that I had to rent the space to store them. So I can't fit them here because we have one room. So we've been fortunate. I've worked with some very talented, some good people. Gave me the opportunity to kind of punch up and rewrite their stuff, or just give me the opportunity to write our own stuff.
And they're off. Out of the gate, it's Dance Club with your buddies, and look out, ladies. On the inside of Dance Club, it's eye contact with Leggy Blonde. Now it's Leggy Blonde with big smile, and here comes slow dancing with gazing eyes. Now making a move, it's your lips. It's your lips all over button nose. It's your lips all over earlobe. It's your lips all over Adam's apple. I don't believe it. Where the heck did Adam's apple come from? Now it's Leggy Blonde with deep voice and what's the matter, dude? And in the end, it's run, Forrest, run. Don't look back, and I thought I smelled Aqua Velva.
For a better time, go to the track. National Thoroughbred Racing. We bet you love it.
And that was one of the grand prize winners. Could you, and you've done a lot of those go to the tracks commercials.
Yeah, well, when we first, DeVito Verde, who's, a very creative shop and very, I a respected agency, and I, myself included in that, they came in and they said, yeah, we have this spot. We don't really know if it's how funny it is or how good it's going to be. We don't know really what to do with it. What do you think? And we had creative conversations about it. And I read it on the paper, and I said, no, this is funny. This is going to be funny, And there was a lot of concern about what the voice should be and what the production sense of it should be, and should there be cheering under it, and I was like, you know what, it's not a race. There shouldn't be cheering under it. I said, but what we should do is, we cast for a voice, a guy named Todd Cummings, who's a very busy voiceover in New York and talented guy, and he kind of passed the audition, let's say, and got the gig. And
I heard rumors that you tried to get a real horse track speaker announcer to.
I forgot about that. We did actually get audition some real announcers also, and
it didn't work.
Well, sometimes faking it is better. It's because it's about comedy. It's not about authenticity. Most of the time, it's kind of like what I was saying yesterday. I don't want to get too far off the path, but about not necessarily going for the exact voice, but going for more the comedy, even if it's not the exact voice you heard in your head. If it's the funnier option, go with that, which is what we did. We started. There was a lot of conversation about the racing, about what the effect should be under it, and I kind of said, no, guys, there should be just a little slap back on the guy's voice as he's calling a race, which is not really a race. He's basically telling us of some boring day or some mishap that somebody had because he wasn't at the track. So there's a little slap back, like he is an announcer at a racetrack. But you don't hear the horses, and you don't hear the people cheering, and you don't hear any of that racetrack ambience because it's not a racetrack. And when you get to the end of the spot, and whatever the last line was, and he ends, and blang, crash the gates open because now we are at the track. for a better time, go to the track. New York Thoroughbred Racing.
And they're off. Out of the gate, it's Oktoberfest with knockwurst and sauerkraut on the side. But oh no, here comes middle-aged men on the inside of lederhosen, and knobby knees aren't looking good. But wait, here comes frisky Fraulein with milky maidens up front, and wandering eye is making a move on milky maidens. But oh no, from out of nowhere, it's von Boyfriendstein with Mine Girl and Watch It Mister, and von Boyfriendstein is coming on strong, and here comes Das Boot with, oh no, kick to the Wiener Schnitzel, and in the end, it's high-pitched voice, followed by Vow My Wiener Hurts, and Pardon My French.
For a better time, go to the track. National Thoroughbred Racing. We bet you love it.
So that's when we're at the track, and that's when the horses come in, and that's when the crowd comes in, or, and then the announcer basically, and then we, did tag versions or whatever, where the announcer came in and said, this weekend, or come for this thing, or this event, or whatever. But the creative portion kind of went that way.
And you've done many of in that series?
Yeah, I don't know how many that there were, to be honest, but we did do quite a few. Maybe a dozen. I don't know. I don't remember really, but there's enough of them. It's been going on for a number of years now. And there was a point in time where either that would win the Mercury or the prizes for the year, like all the award shows for the year, or the Bud Light Real Men of Genius campaign would win. And I'm kind of sorry I never got my hands on that one, but because that's another classic campaign. But yeah, so it was like a trade-off. Like one year, the racetrack spots and the Bud Light spots, and so it's been going on for a while, and thankfully,
it's still alive.
We did some recently. I don't think we had. I don't know. Did we do some last year? What was the last round we did? The year before last. So I don't know if they're going to ever do any more, or that's the end of that. But maybe people are tired of them at this point.
I don't think so.
No.
No.
All right. Well, that's good to hear.
And they're off. Out of the gate is relaxing weekend with a good book. Here comes first interruption with Daddy, can I borrow the car? Next up, it's your wife with Honey, can I have some money? Relaxing weekend is starting to fade. Oh, but here comes the favorite, your only son with Hesitation and Can We Talk? Immediately followed by Dad, I'm Gay. And here comes What'd You Say? Followed by Dad, I'm Gay. Now it's Excuse Me, followed by Dad, I'm Gay. It's Say What, followed by Dad, I'm Gay. I have a boyfriend, and his name is Todd. And in the end, it's gonna be a supportive father with Is He Cute? And Do You Still Like Football?
For a better time, go to the track. National Thoroughbred Racing. We bet you love it.
What is so great about working with radio? Why have you done it so many years?
I got into radio because, oddly enough, I'm not a very good collaborator. I've grown to be, but I didn't get into television because it was just too many people involved and too many opinions that I didn't agree with. So radio, and I also grew up listening to radio. Like there was the big station of the day when I grew up was WABC, and it was playing all pop music of the day. This is a long time ago, but and I really, were fascinated with the DJs, and I thought they were funny, and and then you get to see what they look like, and they look nothing like you thought they looked like. So I was kind of fascinated with that whole radio thing, and then plus you listen to radio skits that I got into, like Cheech and Chong, which was it wasn't great production when I hear back, but it certainly got me interested. When you heard Cheech and Chong, like a comedy team. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah, sure.
And there was something called Firesign Theater, which was just radio skits. And so that whole it's really hokey to say theater of the mind, but when you heard these skits and they painted that picture for you, you knew these people. Even though it was your own, it's kind of like reading a book. You invent the background, and radio was that, and it was much more creative for me, and you could do it by yourself or with just like a few people that you like collaborating with, and Then as I did it professionally, I liked it because no one really cared about it, so I still had the freedom to do what I did, or few people cared about it. It wasn't like a TV shoot when they go, oh, everybody got to go fly out to L.A. and get a director and spend a lot of money, and it was like a whole big scene. I never was into that. I always liked to do just, work that I wanted to do, that I had in my head, and I could do that, and I could make it come alive by myself if need be. But, I found some great people to work with over the years and made my life a lot easier and a lot more fun. Mm-hmm. And it's just, to me, it's harder and more challenging and more creative. Mm-hmm. So that's what kind of got me into it. Is that the question? I just kind of rambled on there. I forgot what I was talking about.
I think it pretty much covered it.
Hey, it's a Frankie Camilleri, head chef at the Mama Camilleri's Calamari Castle, where quality is a numero uno, a numero due. It's about the numero 14 or 15, something like that. We still make everything the way Mama used to, after she got old and would only use the microwave. But just like illegal seafoods, we only use the freshest fish. Well, it just came in this morning, yesterday morning, last Wednesday, Tuesday, Sunday, morning, fine, late at night from the back of a van. But Mom, I did everything the way you taught me. If you could see me now, you'd be so proud, so thrilled, so happy, so pleased. I'm so stupid.
When it comes to fish, there's only one place you can trust: Legal Seafoods. If it isn't fresh, it isn't legal.
But what's the state of commercial radio in the States today compared to when you got into it?
There's so much other. There's so many other different types of media and places to advertise, and the internet, and
let me just add to that. When I got into the business 26 years ago, we were all over Europe were looking and listening to what they did in the States. Mm-hmm. And recently I heard an American guy say that today it's, and in some places the other way around, American radio lost the momentum and now they're looking to what we're doing in Europe.
Well, that I haven't heard, but it's certainly not what it was, but nothing is, to me.
I think maybe that's more in the programming side.
Well, for sure. Yeah, on the programming side, radio is not what it used to be, from my perspective. And I think, really, I'm talking from being in New York. I think, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, that New York radio could be a lot better. It's a major market. We should still be on the cutting edge, except that, whenever there's too much money involved, you don't want that listener to turn away. So you play the same things over. You have the same similar programming. Everyone's kind of similar. There's nobody's standing out. Everyone's afraid to do anything too different because you don't want that listener to say, I'm done. But you travel the country, like even if you go even upstate New York, you'll find some more interesting radio stations, really? Just like little local stations, because they don't have the pressure on them as much as like New York. Like, you got to keep the numbers up, and it becomes just about who gets the best ratings, and the way you get the best ratings is playing familiar stuff so nobody changes, but at that same, people who really appreciate radio like myself and appreciate music, if it's a music format, you get kind of bored, and that's when I I listen to my iPod, play the music that I want to hear, and I put that on. But it's unfortunate because growing up, there was a station in New York called WPIX, and they were playing like all, I guess what you'd call now new wave or punk, and it was like a commercials. Only college stations were playing that kind of music. That's what I was listening to, mostly college, because I wanted to hear that kind of music coming over from England and Europe, So, and then this station WPIX started playing like all this great music, and it fizzled out because there was just a hardcore bunch of people who loved the station, but they couldn't compete with the people playing the same tried and true music over and over again, and that's kind of sad to me.
2-year-old Patricia Puia was born deaf in Romania.
2-year-old Patricia Puia was born deaf in Romania.
Her life was lived in silence. She had never heard a lullaby or the voice of another human being. Her parents were told that nothing could be done.
Her parents were told that Mount Sinai in New York could restore Patricia's hearing.
Patricia's parents were filled with despair.
Patricia underwent cochlear implant surgery.
Patricia withdrew into a shell.
Patricia was able to hear for the very first time.
Life has been difficult for Patricia and her parents.
Life for Patricia is that of a typical 2-year-old. She can hear, but she doesn't listen.
Which hospital you choose can make all the difference in the world. Mount Sinai. Not your typical doctors. Not your typical hospital. For more information, call 1-800-MD-SINAI.
When you do commercials, do you always get a script from an agency, or do you write stuff yourself?
We do some writing. I think recently we haven't done as much writing as we would have liked, like to do, just because with all that's going on with people being laid off. I think when creative directors have an opportunity to need someone, they hire their friends back that they've been working with to get, you know what I mean? So. Yeah. We do all parts of the equation. The majority of it is people bring me scripts and I'll kind of punch them up or rewrite them for them and then direct them and cast for them and stuff like that. But yeah, we have written some stuff over the years.
Can you take me through the creative process? Have you got anything in your bag of tricks on how to generate ideas?
How to generate ideas? That's a good question, but it's I don't have any particular set rules that I go to when you're trying to come up with an idea. Usually I get my ideas from, in this business, they're very tight parameters. So it's based off that. Like I read a creative brief and they want it this way and that way and this way, and that usually generates the idea for me. So as sometimes tight parameters could be a bummer, but a lot of times they really could formulate the idea for you or help you come up with an idea.
You don't have some sort of ritual. You have to have a Krispy Kreme Dunkin' Donut or...
I do, but that's not for an idea. That's just because I'm really into cavities. So
this man will now attempt to ask this woman out after buying her one of those typical imported beers.
Okay. Will you go out with me?
No.
Please?
No.
Pretty please?
No way.
We could take it slow.
Forget it.
Maybe if I change my shirt?
No.
Maybe if I gave you some time?
No.
Oh, okay. Hey, mister, it's not working.
Well, try it this time with a St. Pauli Girl beer. The rich, smooth, full-bodied beer with the classic German taste. It'll work this time. Go ahead. Ask.
Okay, will you go out with me?
Yes, I will go out with you.
Wait a second.
You see? It worked.
I don't know you very well.
There you have it. Proof that the full-bodied taste of St. Pauli Girl beer really can make a difference.
Look, I'm just going to take the St. Pauli Girl and go to the other end of the bar. You guys do whatever you want.
Rich, smooth St. Pauli Girl beer. One taste and you'll know why. Some girls are unforgettable.
I think the operative word here is girls.
Whatever. Imported from Germany by Barton Beers Limited, Chicago, Illinois.
What are you doing?
I'm dancing.
Get back.
This one I like very much because it sort of breaks down the third wall.
Yes. I like doing that, and I would do that more often because I always get a kick out of that too. But it's a little self-effacing to do that. Like, we're not really that serious. Do you know what I mean? Which is why I like it. Yeah. It's like, look, we're trying to sell you this, yes. We know it's just pimple cream. But, it does work. But, we're not taking ourselves too seriously. As a consumer, I like to hear that. So clearly that would mean I would like to do that now that I'm in the position to do that. So you're like, well, I like these guys because they don't take themselves too seriously. And I don't know, maybe their product's pretty good. I'll try it. I mean, that's the best you can hope for. Somebody, and I always say this, you always preach to the client to say, look, people just want to like you. If you can get people to like you, that's half the battle. They'll try your product if they like you and they're in the market for your product. They may try it because they like you, because you gave them a good feeling, like, oh man, these guys are pretty funny and they don't take themselves too seriously, or for whatever reason, I'm going to go try it. Now, if your product's good, they'll come back. If it's not, hey, I did my job. I can't get them. I can't call them up personally and say, could you buy another tube of that? Because that would help my career. So,
and I think this was a beer commercial, and some of the best radio advertising is beer commercials. You've got a number on your reel, Heineken and
Amstel.
Amstel. Oh yeah, let's hear an Amstel.
Mark? Yeah, it's Debbie. Are you there? Pick up. Okay, I just spent the last hour waiting for you in the freezing rain. I'm soaking wet, Mark, and I just kind of want to know where the
heck
were you? We had a
doggone
date. Remember, you little
poop.
You know, if you think that I am ever going to go out with a
meanie
like you again, you're full of
prunes.
So don't call me. You know,
fudge.
You just go to
heck. Poopy head.
Leave me the
heck
alone.
The preceding phone message was altered by the makers of Amstel Light to once again prove that watered down just won't do. Always satisfying, never watered down. Amstel Light, the beer drinker's light beer.
That was an old commercial, right?
That was an old commercial, and I think some people have kind of mimicked that spot in their advertising. It's a good technique. It's a valid technique, and it's a funny vehicle to get through the spot. And and it also is like a kind of another element of fun where you're kind of wondering what she actually said. You know, you kind of. I mean, there's so many things she could have said too.
What is some of the work you're most proud of that you were a part of?
I think clearly the NTRA stuff. I mean, clearly that's award-winning and just smart work, and it's very simple. So I'm proud of that. Pretty much what's on my reel is what I'm proud of doing. There's a spot, even like if it's not funny, a spot for Volvo, where it morphs from a little girl to an old lady, and that on radio, it's a hard thing to do. You have to really take time and cast the right voices to do that well. Yeah. I was saying earlier or another day that it's easy to morph visually. It's very hard to morph with audio, and the eye is easily fooled and the ear isn't. The ear picks up a lot of flaws that the eye, the hand is quicker than the eye, but the ear is not that easily fooled with sound.
If you could turn back time, what would you do? Would you look after yourself more and those you love? Would you drive a Volvo then? Because they're safer?
Or because they're fun to drive
and make you feel young again?
Would you drive to the country more? Feel the wind in your hair? And stop to smell the flowers? If you could turn back time, what would you do?
There is no better time to get a Volvo than now. June is National Safety Month, and Volvo is offering great savings on all 2002 models. The June for Safety, June for Saving event.
Volvo for life.
Joe, thank you very much for taking the time to see me. And is there any last thoughts that the listeners of this agency's radio station should take out?
I would just say when you're doing radio and you want to come up with a good spot, you should underwrite your spot. Like if you're writing 60 second, if it's a 60-second commercial, only write maybe 55 or 53 seconds worth of material, and especially if it's funny, and play in the studio. And if a line's not working, don't make the actor read it a million times over. Change the line. And other than that, I think collaborate, have fun, and don't be afraid. If you're making a funny spot, don't be afraid to make a fool of yourself, because you have to try something. You have to try stuff. It doesn't always work, but you have to try. And if it doesn't work, somebody may bounce off that idea and come up with something that does work. So just keep throwing out ideas. Just keep throwing out stuff to the talent. And a lot of times magic happens, especially if the right talent's in the booth. You give someone else an idea, say that idea was terrible, but I did make me think of this, which is great, and everyone loves it. And it's like who knows whose idea it was when you work like that. It's just like an amalgamation of everybody's input, and a lot of times that's a train wreck, but if you're working with the right people, it's great.
Dette var den sidste af de 4 samtaler om radioreklame, jeg havde på min tur til New York for nylig. Jeg håber, du synes, det var spændende. Husk at blive ved med at abonnere på Radio Guru podcast om radioreklame. Der er flere spændende episoder på vej. Og hvis det er første gang, du lytter, kan du tegne et gratis abonnement via iTunes Store eller via radioguru.dk. Og hjælp mig med at sprede det glade budskab til venner og kolleger. Mit navn er Palle Bo. Tak fordi du lyttede med.